Hey, what's up? We have currently seen with the season that, it is common for making early awards, so we decided to do the same. We are excluding all NBA teams, and we are excluding Executive of the Year, because those are better for later down the line. But I guess we can start with MVP. With MVP, the first one I have is Nikola Jokic, and the second one is Joel Embiid. Those two are one of the most obvious candidates for MVP. Knowing that Jokic is a near triple-double machine and Embiid is like 25, 30, and 10 guy, with leading Philadelphia, who has like third best defense in the league. So those two are the obvious choices. And the third one, I was really trying to figure the third one here. It was a mix between Curry and LeBron for me. But I think I'm ultimately going to have to go with LeBron just because of how the Lakers are one of the best teams in the league and Golden State are barely hovering above 500. And looking at how the MVP award has been decided, it is normally for a team with a high ranking. So I'm going LeBron as the third one, but I wouldn't be mad if anybody put Curry above him either because Curry has been carrying that team.
Yeah, I liked all the mentions you made. There have been some seasons where players who are in the top of the ladder have gotten MVP, like perhaps Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, that was fourth.
His MVP season. I mean, whichever team LeBron is on, that's obviously going to be very high up in the standings because it's LeBron and what he brings to the team. I also have Jokic. He's had an amazing season so far, numerous triple doubles, and we talked about this that whenever he's on the court, the offense ranks number one, but when he's not, it's dead last. So, and he also has improved all numbers across the board, showing that he is capable of taking the next step. And I think Jokic right now could be the clear-cut favorite. But a player you did not mention is Kevin Durant, and I think he should be in that conversation because he came back from last year's injury, like if it didn't even exist. And for a guy that tall, it's really impressive. He's averaging 30, 7, and 5, while also being one of the best Nets defenders on the court. And for a 32-year-old, that's crazy. Coming off an injury like that.
I should have mentioned him. That's obvious. I should have mentioned him. But looking at how I think Jokic and Embiid have been, I guess they've been Player of the Week by NBA. I'm like, okay, that should validate that I chose them as MVP candidates. But Kevin Durant is also a clear candidate. I should have mentioned.
I think the top 5 should most likely be Jokic, Durant, LeBron, Curry, and Embiid. That's one of those. Surely will get it.
That's
I don't really see anybody else.
That's the upper echelon. That's the Anybody else? No, I think Luka's dropped a little bit in the race just because of the Dallas Mavericks and their ranking. How they haven't been playing as well lately, so he's a little bit down, but they still have time to pick it up at least.
He needs to have an excellent second half to the season if he wants to be up in the rankings.
Well, I think
I think these 5 guys are most likely to win, with Jokic being the favorite.
Yeah. Alright, so I guess next up we have Defensive Player of the Year. I wanted to put in Giannis so badly, but his advanced stats, they're not on his side at the moment. So I'm going Miles Turner. He is the first in block percentage, and he has been averaging crazy amount of blocks. And when he was not playing in that one game, and the Indiana Pacers played Domantas Sabonis at center, you could clearly see it was not working. So I will gladly pick Miles Turner as one of the Defensive Player of the Year. I'll also pick Rudy Gobert because I looked at his stats, high 80s and 90s across the board for inside the paint, block percentage, amount of blocks, team defense, all of that stuff. So it's no surprise for me that Jokic is up there. And the last one I'll say is Embiid. I think Embiid has been a great asset to the defense Philly has. As I said, they're third in the league. And I think he should be potentially rewarded for that, as he's in my top 3 for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I have quite similar. Instead of Embiid, I have Anthony Davis, because he's always been a good shout for Defensive Player of the Year. Even though this year he's not averaging quite the best numbers, he's still a monster defensively, and it's hard betting on AD to be one of the best defensive players in the league while he's still in there. And I'm hoping he wins this award at least once in his career because he's always been a good defensive player. But I think right now I'd have to give this award to either Rudy or Miles Turner. Rudy has always been a really good defensive player. He's already won twice, and right now he's averaging 2.7 blocks. And having Jazz in the first place, it kind of shows you that he's a crucial piece to that team. And Miles Turner, he's been a really surprising player this year. As you mentioned, all the blocks and everything. I think this year it's probably going to be a center who picks up this award.
Yeah, I've always vouched for maybe a guard winning the award because the last one who did it is Gary Payton. But when you look at face value and all the stats, it's normally blocks, which is a huge part for what centers contribute of. So I'm like, okay, he'll most likely go to center again and again. I really wanted a guard like maybe Marcus Smart or Drew Holiday could win the award, but I won't see a guard winning it anytime soon, at least. Unfortunately for me, at least.
Not unless the Rudy's in the league.
My God, yeah, he's just a monster defensively. Not on the perimeter, but inside. There's all these stats about how teams take less shots in the paint when he's there. So it kind of goes hand in hand, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I guess next up we have the most improved player of the year award. I really wanted to put in Jaylen Brown. I really wanted to put him in. He averaged 20 last season. He's averaging like 26, 27 this season. But people already knew what Jaylen Brown could do, so I kind of left him off the list. But I have the two most clear-cut ones are Christian Wood and Jeremy Grant. Those two are the best, I guess the top two candidates. Looking at how Jeremy Grant went from becoming a role player, not shooting well from the free throw line at all, to an perennial all-star, and he's shooting above 80% from the line. So you definitely want that. Christian Wood. I think everybody knew Christian Wood was a most improved of the year. Christian Wood was an Christian Wood MIP candidate for next season. Looking at how he popped off with Detroit when Blake Griffin was out. So looking at Houston, I'm not surprised that he is an MIP candidate. And the last one, I think it may be a little bit of a surprise. I have Keldon Johnson. Last season he was.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Last season he was averaging around single digits. Now he's averaging like 14 or 16 points per game. And it's led by DeMar DeRozan, yes, but looking at the young guys San Antonio has, and how Keldon Johnson has taken the huge step up. Yes, his numbers aren't that great, but he's going to have to take the shots when, for example, DeMar isn't, or Lonnie Walker is not taking those shots. So I'll gladly put Keldon Johnson as a top 3 for MIP.
Yeah, I also have Christian and Jeremy. And, you had Keldon, I'm putting in Jaylen Brown because he's an obvious all-star this year, and I think the reason why maybe you didn't put in Keldon is because all the previous MIP winners are probably players who have been good but haven't really reached the next level yet. And I think for Jaylen, he did this this year. So I mean, scoring more than 6 points, looking at his last year, and he's clearly become like a 1B option next to Tatum. And I guess that's why I put him there, because he's obviously going to be an all-star, and I think this jump is what most improved player of the year award should mean. And Christian Wood, you said already with the Detroit thing, we already saw what he could do, but now having a full season with Houston, showing he could do. I think he went down with an injury last night or 2 nights ago. Yeah, really unfortunate because,
rolled his ankle, unfortunately.
Yeah, but Steven Silas has made this team into a solid playing spot contender, which is surprising, but also very impressive. Yeah. And Jeremy Grant, even though Detroit hasn't had the most successful season with Hayes being injured, I guess the only bright spot would be Jeremy, because he has to have the ball more in his hands. And there you go, a very nice player averaging 23 points per game, and very nice case for him to get MIP. I think Christian Wood and Jeremy Grant, since it's very similar for us, I think one of these players will most likely get it. But I think Keldon Johnson and Jaylen Brown, these players are also in consideration, because this year there are so many players that have taken the next step.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think we can both agree on how Jeremy Grant and Christian Wood are the top 2. I think those are the ones who are going to duel it out. And probably the rest are in consideration, are probably going to take that 3rd place. Do you think?
I have to think that Jaylen Brown is probably in that consideration. I really think that this jump that he made, he should be in the consideration. Do you think more than Keldon Johnson, in my opinion?
That's fine. I don't agree. I don't disagree with Jaylen Brown. I just think normally, Keldon Johnson. Oh, he took that kind of jump. Oh, he should definitely be up there because he's a young guy, and hype up the young pieces. And I'm not saying Jaylen Brown isn't young. It's just I thought, all right, people already knew what Jaylen Brown could do. People already knew.
What about Brandon Ingram?
Oh yeah, shit. I forgot. He took a similar jump to Jalen. So wait, didn't he average 16 and then he averaged 20 something, 24?
Yeah, I mean, we already knew what he could do. He averaged 18 with the Lakers, and then he jumped to 24. So we are kind of already were accustomed to what he did, and like the next year with like a new team, new system, and he just popped off.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I'm still shouting out Keldon Johnson just because he's been I've been a fan favorite of him for ever since he was starting to show off that talent in the regular season, and now that he's actually making that jump. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think Keldon Johnson is he's going to be a problem for a few years at least.
No, we saw it in the bubble, and I completely agree. He was probably like one of the best players for San Antonio.
Yeah.
But like they have so many young pieces with now Derek White coming back. I just hope he continues like with his role, because from San Antonio fans I've heard like him and DeMar are probably the only players that can create their own shot. And for being so young and being able to like create your own shot, that's super impressive.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So I guess next up we have Sixth Man of the Year. I have a feeling mine will be quite a bit different from yours, except maybe one or two, like one player, maybe. So for the favorite, I have Jordan Clarkson. I think he is he is the favorite for Sixth Man of the Year. Utah Jazz record. Jordan Clarkson is a huge part of that. He's been popping off over 20 points at some times, having a great year efficiently as well. So I'm putting him up there. Another one with the San Antonio Spurs, I'm putting Patrick Mills as Sixth Man of the Year. He's averaging 14 points per game, shooting somewhat really good efficiently. And you can say San Antonio, they have overachieved slightly. And looking at how most of their guards have been popping off, they have 4 guards who are good, plus Patrick Mills coming off the bench. I will definitely say Patrick Mills is in a Sixth Man of the Year candidate so far. And the last one, I'll put in Montrezl Harrell for the Lakers. He's averaging around 14. He's doing his role as he should off the bench, provide that energy. And because of that, he's averaging around 14 points, a couple of rebounds, a couple assists, as you should. So yeah, those are my top 3.
I kind of excluded Montrezl because he already won last year. Even though I don't think he should have. I think that award should have most likely gone to Dennis Schroeder. Yeah. So, and since he won last year, I guess that was also a reason for me not putting him in this year. I also have Clarkson. He's been carrying the Jazz's bench, and being first, it just shows how much he helps. And not only him, also Mike Conley has stepped up. But if we talk about Sixth Man of the Year, Clarkson definitely deserves it at the moment. Patrick Mills, same as you. Some of the games it feels like scoring for him is basically second nature, and it feels like he's the main option, just like in those Australia games. Like this is his highest scoring season ever in the NBA, and he's improved all his shooting percentages, and he's showing a good example for the young guys. And I'm certain Greg Popovich has 100% trust in him, and we have even seen him take big shots instead of players like DeRozan and Aldridge, meaning Popovich really respects Patty's game, and this is his best year in the league so far. So I think he should be in the consideration here. And the third guy, I also have a center, but I don't really have Montrezl Harrell. I have Chris Boucher. Not to have a backup role to Aaron Baines, but it was actually him who thrived instead of Aaron. He actually came. Do you know what age he came into the league? He was kind of old.
I think it was around 25, 24.
Yep. And now he's 28. It's like he's still on his rookie year, basically his 4th year in the league. And you could say he's already reaching his prime age-wise. And Toronto's always been really good with player development, as we've seen with OG Anunoby, even DeMar DeRozan and some other players, even Norman Powell. For me, he isn't a player who might be on the top of the Sixth Man of the Year list who scores most of the points. As we know, that's what the award has been for like the past couple of years. But he has like all these beneficial stats like rebounds and blocks, which are really good for the struggling Toronto team. And I think he should at least be in the consideration just because of like something different that he brings to this award instead of just scoring points, in my opinion.
Yeah. I at least agree with that. Yeah.
Is there any other, like, out of these 4, Was it four? Yeah, the four we mentioned. Is there any other candidate that could possibly, make the cut?
Off the top of my head, no. I can't think of anybody right now.
All right, because there's still a long season, but so far I think Clarkson has pretty much locked it up if he continues this play. But
yeah, let's just hope Utah does, because they've had a series of they're really good at one point, but then they're really bad at another point. Because I've said it countless times that last year they had like a 10-11 game winning streak, and then followed up by a 10 to 11 game losing streak. So let's just hope they at least keep consistently with the wins, so Utah isn't a fluke. But
if this is the time, it's probably this is their year most likely, because of the way they've been playing.
Plus they've had healthy players at least.
Yeah. Compared to other teams.
Next up, we have Rookie of the Year. I think this is one of the easier awards to choose, in my opinion. We have LaMelo Ball, clear-cut Rookie of the Year favorite, leading the rookies in many stats: points, assists, rebounds. Those three LaMelo Ball are leading in. I think we also have James Wiseman. He's been really good this rookie season. I did not expect him to be as good as he was, but I guess when you're a lottery protected pick, you at least have to contribute with something. So what impresses me the most with him is that he's averaging a block and a half for a rookie. That's actually that's really good. And I think he's definitely a huge part of what Golden State is trying to do. They've been winning these decent amount of games with Steph Curry, and it's good to see that Steph Curry now has a running mate that he can just throw the ball to, because Wiseman is so athletic. So I'm definitely putting Wiseman in there. And the third one, I think I'm putting in Tyrese Halliburton. I'm sad that he got slipped all the way to the Kings, because I had him in the top 5. But other than that, Tyrese Halliburton is an all-around gifted and amazing player. He's also very smart, because I remember there was this one game where it was late in the clock and they were up by 3, and Tyrese Halliburton decided to foul a player who couldn't shoot free throws, and that ended up saving them the game. I've never seen I don't think anybody sees rookies do those kind of decisions late in the game. So I'm definitely...
Which game was this?
I forgot what game it was, but I know at least he did a clutch foul off the ball, and that ended up winning them the game, because 2 free throws, they were up by 3. I guess they got the ball, foul, up by 3, and then time expired probably.
That's interesting. It could have been also the coach's decision, but if it was Tyrese, then it was really smart.
I saw Tyrese do it, and people are saying, "Oh yeah, Tyrese Halliburton did this. This is insanely smart." So I'm like, okay, I'll at least mention this for him at least. But yeah. Tyrese Halliburton, exceptional rookie season, and he's kind of what I said with an all-around player. He's kind of good at everything. I haven't seen much of his defense. I don't think he's that good defensively, but
he's really good.
Yeah, whether it be playmaking, scoring, as you said, defending, he's got that, and I think that should be rewarded for top 3 in Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I also have Halliburton and LaMelo as my top 2. LaMelo averaging 14, 6, and 6. His potential is through the roof, and he's definitely on pace to win Rookie of the Year. LeVar was right, basically. Halliburton, I saw the Ringer video where Kevin O'Connor said something along the lines of, when Halliburton's on the floor, the Kings fans should feel safe. And I guess that's exactly what I felt too, watching him obliterate Boston, making the correct plays and being a smart player. He seriously has no flaws in his game, and I don't know, for Sacramento to picking up at number 12, that was crazy. It was sad to watch, because he could have fallen down a little bit more, but I mean, for Sacramento, it was just a no-brainer decision to pick him up, and you can see how he was a better player than expected by most teams. For third, I do have Emmanuel Quickley, even though I wanted to shout out also James Wiseman and Anthony Edwards, who I don't think is getting enough love, because he's second in points per game from rookies, and I think he should get more consideration, because he's kind of picked up the slack lately with some of the players in Minnesota being out. But yeah, for my third spot, I have Quickley, because he's been a surprise player that the Knicks drafted, and he seems like he makes the right plays, and the Knicks fans already prefer him over Alfred Payton or any other point guard that the Knicks have, and they truly believe that he's the future. Averaging double-digit points and solid assist numbers, I'm curious to see his development, but right now I feel like LaMelo's got this on lock.
Yeah, I was also debating with Quickley and Anthony Edwards. Him, Wiseman, and him, Quickly, Wiseman, and Edwards, those were like, okay, I'm gonna duel it out. I'm gonna see what their stats are. But one thing I reward is consistency, and as far as consistency, I would definitely say Wiseman was more consistent out of the two others, so that's why I put him over. But yeah, as you said, and I was debating with Anthony Edwards and Emmanuel Quickly as well, so it was a little bit, give or take. What would you rather have? But
well, the thing is, Wiseman is the only player who is starting, so he's getting consistent minutes. For the other players, it's a little bit different. Well, Halliburton's coming from the bench and gets consistent minutes in with LaMelo, but Quickly actually had to carve out a role. He didn't really have a role at the start, but now he's starting to pick it up. So
yeah,
for him, the development is seen there.
I think by the end of the year he'll be top 3 because people now know what he can do, and his floater game is unmatched compared to the other rookies. I remember we were playing the Knicks, Boston, as I would say, and he was just torching us with the floaters. Just absolutely torching us, and I think that's now going to be like a go-to move. We're going to see a lot from him. Like
Tony Parker.
Yeah, Tony Parker's floater was really nice. Chris Paul's floater was deadly as well. So yeah, I think we have another floater specialist in the league now. Last up, we have Coach of the Year.
I think this should be kind of similar, in my opinion.
I have Quinn Snyder from the Utah Jazz as one of them. Utah Jazz have been amazing so far, exceeding all these expectations. Their defense is amazing. Donovan Mitchell's looking amazing as usual. They have Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley looking good. Bojan Bogdanovic and Joe Ingles will probably pick it up as well. I have also Doc Rivers as second. This is not in any order. The Coach of the Year is not in any order. But I have second up, I have Doc Rivers. Philadelphia being amazing as they are. I didn't certainly expect Philly to be this good, but when you have a coach like Doc Rivers, who is really good with, all these kind of, underdog teams, offensive teams, I'll definitely see him as, a top 3. And the last one, I think, is Frank Vogel. Los Angeles Lakers are probably going to win the chip. I had them winning the chip. They're probably going to cruise their way to a first seed, at least second seed. So I think if you're that good of a team, Frank Vogel deserves at least some recognition. So I have those 3.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Frank Vogel. I had Tyronn Lue instead, because with how the season was so disappointing last year, and Tyronn this year showing that he can handle these guys and hopefully end up with a better result. That's why I picked him instead of Frank Vogel, because technically the Lakers got better, while the Clippers stayed somewhat even. And they're kind of even in record, so I guess that's why I went with the Clippers coach right now. But I mean, the 2 obvious choices currently is probably Quinn Snyder and Doc Rivers, both number 1 seeds in their respective conferences, and I don't think anybody expected Utah or Philadelphia to be first place, and they were first place quite comfortably until last night when the Lakers beat Detroit, and now they're only half a game behind. But I mean, Quinn and Doc have done an amazing job so far, so they're obviously in the top spot. I think there's very similar. Both deserve to be Coach of the Year at the moment, but anything can change. But right now, I think these 2 coaches have done probably the best job out of anybody.
Yeah, that is a given in my opinion. Who do you have winning Coach of the Year in the end? We know it's a long way, but looking at how the teams have been performing and, can they sustain, their form? Out of these 3, who do you think has the best chance?
Well, right now, the most surprising team has definitely been Utah, but I think with how Philadelphia has always been a contender, I think Doc Rivers obviously should be, most likely, he's going to be the Coach of the Year just because of how they've been playing, and I really see they've been kind of consistent with what they do, and not only him but Daryl Morey with the way he's constructed a team. I think this change was really needed for Philadelphia. So if I had to guess, it will probably be Doc Rivers, but I could easily see Quinn Snyder being there as well.
Yeah, he over the years he's proved to be an excellent coach. Looking at how I remember the Utah versus OKC series, we saw rookie Donovan Mitchell just take over versus the Melo, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook team.
Yeah, I mean, Utah doesn't change coaches that much, if at all. He is just the 8th coach in the Utah Jazz history.
Really?
Before that, it was Tyrone Corbin, which was there for 3 years, and then it was Jerry Sloan, who was the coach, starting from 1988, all the way up until 2011.
Damn.
So we know teams usually, a lot of teams like to fire their coaches after like an unsuccessful season. Most notably, the Knicks. They've had 8 coaches in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I remember yesterday when they had Jeff Hornacek as a coach.
Yeah. So they had 8 coaches in 4 seasons, and the Utah Jazz have had 8 coaches in their whole, franchise history.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, hey,
that is crazy.
I'll also say a quick shout out to Phil Jackson for drafting Porzingis, and when they traded him, they got a pick. They got somewhat of a pick from that. There were a select few trades that happened among that, but because that Porzingis was traded, they got Emmanuel quickly. So I'm shouting out Phil Jackson here for drafting Porzingis.
Oh, is that pick Emmanuel Quickly?
No, I think it was some sort of they traded Porzingis away for Dennis Smith Jr., DeAndre Jordan, and a couple of picks. And if I remember correctly, there's another trade that happened in between, and then they got a pick back, and that pick was Emmanuel Quickly.
They also have Dallas's pick this year, and seeing how they played so far, that pick could be lottery.
That is valuable. That could be valuable. But yeah,
that's most likely not going to happen, but it would be crazy.
That would actually be crazy. But yeah, we've said all our awards. We've had some differences, but of course there are many similarities as well. I thought I should have mentioned. I thought of Jaylen Brown with the most improved player, but I thought because we already know what he can do, I thought that was a little exception. But yeah, other than that,
There's still a lot of time.
There is still a lot of time. Anything could happen. I remember this one year Miami was 11-30 something, and then they turned it around to. The record just switched around, so they had around a 500 record. So yeah, anything could happen, even this season with Miami, as they've struggled at the start. But yeah, that's it for us. See ya.
Take care.